roughly 6% on Solana, roughly 3% on Ethereum, twice the yield, obviously pick Solana, and almost every comparison you will find stops right there. Those two numbers are not measuring the same thing. One of them includes revenue, the other one excludes, both are paid in currencies printing at different rates, and one of the two chains will confiscate your stake if things go wrong, while the other one currently cannot. I'm Rachel from ChainSense. In the next 7 minutes, the same basis comparison nobody does, what each chain does when a validator misbehaves, and how long it actually takes to get your money back. Structurally, these are different activities wearing the same word. On Solana, you delegate. Any amount, no minimum beyond a fraction of a sol for the account itself, and your coins never leave your control. You point a stake account at a validator, and that is the whole ceremony. On Ethereum, running your own validator means 32 Ether and actual infrastructure, two pieces of software that have to stay synchronized, uptime you are responsible for, and keys that matter. Below that threshold, you use a pool or a liquid staking provider, which is what most people do, and now you have a provider between you and the protocol. The catch on Solana. The low barrier means most people never think about who they delegated to, and validator quality is the entire difference between the advertised rate and yours. The catch on Ethereum. For the overwhelming majority, staking ETH means trusting an intermediary, and the risks you actually carry are that intermediaries, not just the protocols. This is the real difference, and it barely gets discussed. Ethereum slashes. Get caught signing two conflicting things, and the protocol takes Ether off you, ejects the validator, and the penalty scales with how many others did the same thing at the same time. That correlation design is the clever part. One operator making a lonely mistake pays a small price, while a large provider whose whole fleet fails together pays enormously. It is engineered to make correlated failure expensive. Solana does not slash. There is a system that records violations on-chain, permanently and publicly, and a separate proposal for penalties that is still being argued over. Right now, misbehavior produces a receipt, not a bill. The catch on Ethereum's version: slashing is real risk for you, not just for bad actors. Pool with a big provider and you inherit their correlation exposure, which is exactly the risk their scale creates. The catch on Solana's: no penalty means your only protection is that misbehaving is unprofitable rather than punished. That has held so far. It is a weaker guarantee than a bond you can lose, and honest people disagree about whether it matters yet. Exits look similar on paper and behave very differently. Solana runs on epochs of 2 to 3 days. Unstake, wait for the boundary, roughly 1 epoch of cooldown, and your SOL is back. Busy conditions can push it into a second epoch. Call it days. Ethereum has a queue, and the queue is a live market. It sat near empty at the start of this year, then institutional demand pushed the entry side past 60 days of waiting by late spring. Exits have their own separate limit on how much can leave per day, first in, first out, with no priority for anybody regardless of size. So the honest framing. Solana's exit is short and predictable. Ethereum's is protocol managed and safe, but its length depends on what everyone else is doing when you decide to leave. The catch on both. Liquid staking sidesteps the weight on either chain and hands you a different set of risks in exchange. That was the previous episode. Now the arithmetic done properly, with the basis named out loud, because this is where every comparison cheats. Solana's headline, 5.5 to just under 6%, is issuance plus transaction fees. It is before your validator's commission, and for most delegators it is before any MEV share. Ethereum's commonly quoted figure, around 2.8% as of this spring, is consensus rewards only. It excludes the execution layer entirely. Add the tips and MEV that a validator running the standard setup actually earns, and you are adding roughly half a point to a full point on top. So the fair pairing is not 6 against 3. It is roughly 5.5 to 6, minus commission, against roughly 3.5 to 4. The gap is genuine. It is also noticeably smaller than the headlines imply, and it narrows again once you account for whoever is taking a cut on either side. Every one of those numbers moves. Solana's is on a declining issuance schedule by design. Ethereum's compresses as more Ether stakes. Treat all of it as this spring's reading, not a rate. The decision frame, plainly. Pick Solana staking if you want the simplest possible version of this, if the amount is modest, if you want your coins to stay in your own wallet, and if a predictable few-day exit matters more than anything else on this list. Pick Ethereum staking if you are working at a size where 32 Ether is not the barrier, if you want the most battle-tested penalty system in the industry protecting the chain your money sits on, or if you specifically want exposure to the deepest staking economy that exists. Pick either through a provider if you are not going to run infrastructure, but then judge the provider, not the chain. At that point, their fees, their custody model, and their correlation risk are what you actually bought. The mistake to stop making, and it survives even after you fix the basis. These are nominal yields in two different currencies with two different issuance schedules. Solana's rewards are paid mostly out of new SOL on a supply that is still inflating at under 4% and falling. Ethereum's issuance is far smaller and partly offset by fees being burned, which means a bigger nominal number is not automatically a bigger real one. If a chain hands you 6% more of a token while printing 4% more of it, your slice of the network has grown by around 2. Do that comparison honestly on both sides, and the picture changes again. I am not going to tell you which comes out ahead, because that depends on assumptions about future supply and usage that nobody actually knows. What I will tell you is that any video presenting one nominal percentage against another as a straight winner has skipped the only part of the calculation that mattered. Ethereum slashes mistakes. Solana writes them down. That is the last episode in this series. The full playlist walks the whole chain from wallet to comparison in order. Subscribe to ChainSense. I'm Rachel. See you in the next one.